Welcome to the well-equipped kitchen in Injo's Kitchen, and today we're going to look at roasting pans, baking pans, and gratin dishes. And I have a collection here, plus a couple extra ones. Often when somebody says baking pan, this is what they probably often have, and they baked brownies in it, or they may have baked lasagna or some other casserole of some kind. But these are real ones. I have a whole collection of them here, and many of these are crossover items. This is a two-handled roasting pan. It's aluminum. This is made by Mauviel. This also doubles as an item for doing braises on the stove and in the oven, like I showed you in the last episode. This is a standard roasting pan that's covered in non-stick. This will also work on a burner. If you had to, you could put this on a burner. Not the best to put on a burner. It's best just for the oven itself. This is a porcelain baking dish. This one is labeled. It was custom made for me by my grandmother. Had it custom made. This works in the oven and the microwave, but not on the stove. But this is great for serving. Here is a hotel pan. This is not a full size. This is a 3/4 size hotel pan. This is a great piece of equipment. Whether you want to use it for holding things in the fridge, like marinating, holding leftovers, or baking in the oven, or roasting, this is a great pan. And this can be used on the stove, which is what's great about the hotel pan. Last rectangular one is this piece here. This is Don's Kobenstein. This one is from the 70s. This belonged to my parents back in the day. It may have been a wedding gift. This is a classic piece right here. This can go directly onto the stove and in the oven. And this is one of the best baking dishes I have because it makes a nice even square dish, and we're going to use this today to make gratin Dauphinois. That's going to be our recipe today. The other two I'm going to show you is this one here, which is another crossover piece. Great oval gratin dish, but also works as an oval skillet on the stove. And you can do searing in this, like you can sear a roast, tenderloins. Great piece of equipment. You can do the same in this enameled cast iron Le Creuset. This is the yellow one. What's good about these is you can present in these. You can roast and present. You can sear meat in here, pull it out, put some vegetables on the bottom, and roast together in the oven if you so desire. Very easy, and you just have to think in your own kitchen, what do you prepare on a regular basis? If you don't make a lot of items, if you don't make a lot of roasted meat in your kitchen, then you're probably not going to need an item like this. You may just want one like this, and one like this, and maybe one like this for things like bread pudding or lasagna, or just that rare occasion when you need a larger pan. I have two of these actually because I use these when I make dressing for Thanksgiving. It's perfect. It makes a nice even, and I like to keep my dressing the same and very even. So that's our discussion on roasting pans, baking pans, and gratin dishes. So you got lots to choose from. Just think on what you're making. For the recipe today, when we come back, we're going to be making gratin Dauphinois in part 3 on our Trio of Lamb series. We're going to make gratin Dauphinois, one of the easiest dishes. And we're going to use this pan here because we need to get a nice even layer, because we're actually going to cut four rounds excuse me, of our potatoes out. So we're going to use this pan here. So I'll see you when we come back and show you how to prepare. Welcome back to the well-equipped kitchen and in Joe's kitchen. And now we're going to make Gratin Dauphinois. I have here Yukon Gold potatoes, and because they're Yukon Golds, not going to worry about peeling them. I have a baking dish, butter, and what I have here is my heavy cream that I have seasoned with salt, black pepper, nutmeg, and 1 clove of garlic that I ran across a microplane grater to cut it real fine, and I mix it together. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our butter. We're going to put all of this in here. We may not use this whole piece. What we want to do is heavily butter the inside of our baking dish. I mean heavily buttered, I mean heavily buttered. You could probably use a hefty coating of pan release, but it wouldn't taste the same. So that looks pretty good. So we don't have to season, that's why I pre-seasoned the cream, and then I have extra cream just on that occasion when we need it. And I have sliced these potatoes on a mandolin. You could also use a food processor, 1/8 of an inch thick. It's important here, and we're going to start by layering them in, making a layer, and we can add cream while we're building up these layers. Just place them in. Want to be make pretty even layers here. It's easy to do. And when you're using the mandolin, use the guard. I will have an episode where we will look at the mandolin and how to slice with it. But it's a good tool to have. But a food processor does a good job as well. You just have to keep turning them out of the food processor. I'm going to pour a little bit of our cream in here. To begin, give it a little helping hand here. I have preheated the oven to 425 degrees. I have the burner here because we're actually going to start this recipe on the stove and bring it to a boil. And leaving the starch on these potatoes, they're going to help to thicken the cream because this uses no thickener other than the potato starch and bean cream. There are some versions of this that are made with milk, but you could do half milk, half cream, and just use half and half. Or you could use 3/4 milk, 1/4 cream. We're actually going to cut these out. I will show you them in the Dinner at Joe's episode. On a pan for reheat, we're actually going to cut out going to cut them out actually into rounds so that they work with our plate design that we're going to be using today. I'm probably going to use a little more cream, which I'm glad I got it out. It's all good. Don't need to worry about extra salt because I put enough salt in my original cream mixture. If you don't like nutmeg or you don't like that taste, you could leave it out, but it does give a wonderful flavor in this. Continue and make sure everything is flat. Make sure everything is evened out. It's important that you get nice even layers, especially on the edges, so that it doesn't fall off at the edge. You want nice even layers. This is all going to cook into a beautiful. Real fancy restaurants will cut very large potatoes. I don't know where they get them, but they're probably the similar ones used for long branch potatoes, which is like a French fry, but a lot longer and larger. Could be the potatoes that they use as the long branch potatoes, those same type of potatoes. Okay. Put the rest of this cream, and now I'm going to rinse out this container because it's still got seasoning and goodies in the bottom. So open it up here. And I can use my spoon here. Give it a stir. More potatoes here. Okay. I may actually go into the fridge for a little milk, just to be on the safe side, because you need to make sure there's enough liquid in here. And I'm going to end up pouring all this cream on here. So, okay. Put the rest of these potatoes on here. Press them down. Not going to worry about that one. Let's touch the floor nails. Okay. That's that. Slide this over. Rest of our cream mixture here. Now I'm going to go get some milk. I'll be right back. Milk now, we can adjust the liquid here. If I had more cream, I would just use more cream, but the dairy is going to thicken in this recipe. Okay. That looks about right. Good. Slide it over. And now we're going to put it on our burner here. Actually going to turn the heat down, because this needs to be carefully watched as it's coming to a boil, because you don't want to overcook. You don't want to burn the bottom. It is dairy. You want to be very careful. Be back in the shop in a minute, just washing my hands here. I'm just going to grab a tiny bit more salt here to the top, because we added that little bit of milk in here. Now this needs to come to a boil. I'm going to come back in 5-10 minutes when this is at a boil, and I'll show you what it looks like when it comes to a boil, and then we'll be able to transfer it to the oven. Welcome back to the well-equipped kitchen and in Joe's kitchen. Here is our potatoes. It has come to a boil, so I'm going to shut off the heat. We're going to take our last little bit of butter here, and we're going to put little pieces of it on the top of our taters. Just going to aid and help with the browning process. Add to the richness of this. This potato dish is rich, so just be mindful of that. but for a special occasion, this is nice to have. Okay. Took about 10 minutes to come to a boil. I did turn up the heat, but it is now hot, which is important here. Get rid of that now. We'll use pot holders. We're going to put it in the middle of our preheated 425 degree oven. Can't see me, but I'm going to place it in the oven. Actually going to place it on a sheet pan. In the oven so that any drips go onto the sheet pan rather than onto the oven floor. Make sure it's nice and centered in the oven. And we'll check it in 25 minutes for a nice brown color. Excellent. And we will be back when that is finished. And I will show you what it looks like when it's fully baked. I will show you what it looks like fully baked. And then when we serve it, we'll be in the last part in our series, which is going to be Dinner at Joe's. I'll show you how we serve it. So we'll see you in about 25 minutes. Welcome back to In Joe's Kitchen and the Well-Equipped Kitchen in episode 3. This is our Gratin Dauphinois. As you can see here, it is fully cooked. This has to get fully cold before we even attempt to cut this. It needs to be fully cold, so we're just going to leave it out until it's cool to room temperature. That's when we're going to cut it, and we're going to probably pull out some of the extra cream that's pooled on the side when we do so. But this is our gratin. It's ready to go. And so when it's cool, we're going to take a round cutter, and we're actually going to cut rounds of it. And we're going to use the round on our plate. So that's our Gratin Dauphinois. Stay tuned for the next episode in our Trio of Lamb series, where we're going to be in the Well-Equipped Kitchen and In Joe's Kitchen and talk about the Saucier's special pans. Until then, see you soon.